And welcome one and all to Empower Volusia Common Sense. My name is Jason Davis, and we are coming to you hidden in an iron bunker in an undisclosed location in western highlands of Volusia County government, or county there in Florida. And we are guarded by, of course, our 2 rabid Pomeranians and our 1 crazy cat. But a little subnote here. We had some new additions here. Not from that crazy cat, but one of the... we have a barn cat out back, and here at the old iron bunker, who protects our barn. And she had some babies, and she was having a little bit of a trouble taking care of them. So, me being the good person that I am, I said, I will help you out there, Mama Cat. So we picked up her 4 little babies. We brought them in. So, in about the second week of November, if you drop me a line, jasondavispodcast@gmail.com, and tell me that you want one of these little kittens, they're free to a good home. They're just adorable. We are hand feeding them. They are so lovable. That's all they want to do is just love on you. So they're great. So if you want a kitten, just drop me a line at jasondavispodcast@gmail.com and let me know, and I'll tell you if we still got any left. That'll be around the second week of November. Anyways. So you can hear us here on we're on, of course, the website, jasondavispodcast.com, and we're also on YouTube, we're on Facebook, we're on iTunes, we're on Google, we're everywhere you want to be, if you want to be there. That's right. So go ahead and just go to all of us, and you can actually hear some of the archived podcasts that I've done here, and just go to the website and look at archives, and there it is. And you can scroll through all of them. There's like almost 50 of them. We've been doing a lot here in the past 4 or 5 months. So it's been fun. It's been real. And getting the information out there to all you people that just really want to know what's going on. Like right now, the campaign season, well, it's almost here. That's right. And guess what? It is time for the ever famous polling to begin.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Oh, that's right. We've got all these polls coming up. We got the Gallup poll, the CNN poll, the NBC poll, the ABC poll, the Fox poll, this poll, that poll, here a poll, there a poll, everywhere a poll. And it's truly amazing, and sometimes it even gets a little mind-boggling. But the big question is, but what poll is really the correct one? And that's a question that somebody asked me a couple of days ago, and I said, you know what, I have some expertise in this matter. Yes, I do. I don't know if you've ever taken statistics or sociology, which I have. And that's where polling is really important. When you do statistics, statistical analysis is polls of data, and sociology, if you're going to find out, it's a study of human behavior, and if you... of society, really. And if you want to know what people are thinking, you make these polls, and you do that, and you get the data. It's all in the data. And to be quite honest with you, I don't listen to any of these polls that are going on out there because, and why don't I listen to any of these polls? Well, let's just look at some of the questions that are being asked on some of these polls. Are you happy with the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump? Question mark there. Has the current President of the United States done anything to help you in your financial situation? Or do you believe the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, should be impeached? These are just a few of the questions I've seen on some of these polls. And they're being asked by the pollsters. Now, some of these polls actually get mailed to you. You fill them out, you mail them back. Some polls are taken by Joe Blow on the street with a pad of paper and a pencil. And some of these polls are taken in events and fairs and everywhere else that you go nowadays. There is some sort of opinion poll. And like my dad used to tell me, if I ever wanted your opinion, I'll give it to you. Well, that's kind of, that's true. Yes, I've told that to my daughter once or twice. But so I'm sure you've been polled by somebody somewhere. You've gone down to one of these street fests and there's somebody taking a poll. It's all opinion poll. But that's not a problem. I'm sure some people say, I'll take the poll, and they do it. Other people say, no, thank you, and just walk on. But of late, these opinion polls have become somewhat askew. That's not very accurate is what that is, in the data, as to what is going on here in the minds and opinions of the people of the United States. See.
You can't handle the truth.
For example, if you go down to the Democratic National Committee and you stand outside the door and you ask 100 people if they think Donald J. Trump is a good president, well, I'm sure your data will reflect that answer. No, they don't believe that. If you go outside the Republican National Committee headquarters and ask the same amount of people the same question, if they think Donald J. Trump is a good president, I'm sure your data will reflect that he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. See, both of these scenarios are examples of skewed data. Skewed data is basically where a pollster goes to a point where he knows the answer he's going to get before he even gets there. If you want to show that the president is not a good president, go out in front of the Democratic National Committee and ask 100 people. If you want to show the president of the United States is a great president, go in front of the Republican National Committee and poll 100 people. But as of late, yes, like as of late, wait, it's now your phone is ringing off the hook. See, it's the welcome to the world of electronics, and your phone is ringing off the hook, and people are polling you and asking questions all about the president.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious, and don't call me Shirley.
And I suppose you wondered how, one, they could call you, and two, if and when you answer the phone, they say, "Hello, Mr. Smith, how are you doing? We're taking an opinion poll." How the heck did they know who you were? You would think that they would not know what your political party bias is, right? But trust me, they do know. Because here's where the data goes askew. Because they get a copy of the voter logs right from your local Department of Elections. Every registered voter is on the Department of Elections, your local one, for your county, your district, however you're centered. All of their data is on a file. Yes, the Republican and National Committees have access electronically to the voter records, voter rolls for every specific district in the United States. Every one of them. There's something like, I think a number somebody told me once was over 35,000. So if you want to have some sort of political bias somewhere or some way to show the president is the most wonderful person ever, you pick up your voters' logs and your voter records from the Department of Elections in your county, and you start calling 200 people on that list, making sure that every one of them is a Republican voter. And I will guarantee you will come out with the president's doing a great job, and that is a quote on approval ratings. And his approval ratings would be going through the roof. And, of course, with that kind of data, the numbers will be totally askew towards the president. Not to say that every political poll has a skewed data, no. There are some out there that have been pretty honest about who they're polling, making sure that they have a wide variety of and this is part of the stuff that you have to include in your data. And you got to have men, you got to have women, Republicans, Democrats, wealthy, poor, black, white, Asian, Indian, all races, creeds, and colors. The political bias is only as good as the person doing the calling or polling, or as good as the ones tallying the polled data. See, because, and this is a statement from the past. Joseph Stalin, you know who he was. He was a dictator in Russia after the fall of the Bolsheviks, and after Lenin, he was the premier, or whatever they called him over there now. And he is credited with saying it's not so much that your vote counts, but who is counting the votes. That's very true. So I suppose the best question is now, what is the raw data that was collected? These people, part of the raw data is you got to find out if they're Republican or Democrat, in political bias, of course. Where do they live? How much do they make? What, not so much that, down into the too far in the weeds, but does the person live in Brentwood? Or does the person live over here in Pearson? So you gotta get it all people. And to get a very good cross-section of America as far as how the president is doing, to be honest with you can't get it with 100 people. You couldn't get it with 1,000 people. You can't get it really even from 10,000 people. you would probably have to get a minimum of 10% of the registered voters in this country to take your opinion poll. And I believe the number of the last election was somewhere, let's see, they say add the two candidates together, and he came up with something like 150 million people voted. See, there's another little tidbit of information. There are somewhere in the neighborhood of 400 million people in America. Half of those are registered to vote. And only half of those actually do vote. So what you really have is 20. This is why everybody's out pushing for you to sign up to vote, because right now 25% of the nation is telling everybody what to do. That's a fact. So, but to get a really good cross-section of the demographics of America, you would actually have to poll 15 million Americans to find out how the president's really doing. Let me tell you, that's a lot of phone calls. That's a lot of phone calls. And as a matter of fact, that would probably take quite a few years to accomplish that particular poll. I'd like to see somebody actually try to do it. I think it would be interesting to see that.
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
Another issue, when they ask people, would you like to take a poll? People just generally walk on by, or some just, let's actually take that poll. So, and those are generally the ones that do it are not even registered voters. They're just people who want to say something. See, a lot of these, and I'm going to put a pause on the script here and kind of go off script a little bit here, folks, because I've been watching. And I've been watching these riots all over the country, these kids who are so scared, or people who are absolutely afraid to show their face. They have to wear that Antifa mask, a black scarf, a black hoodie, black pants, black gloves, black everything, because you're too afraid to speak out. But or you're too afraid to actually get arrested for breaking the law and turning a peaceful demonstration violently, because you are guaranteed the First Amendment to assemble peaceably. And when you become violent, then you broke the law, then you can go to jail. But a lot of these guys that are out there doing that, they're not even registered to vote. That's something that I would like to really see some information on. I feel, because I've seen some of these kids, they're too young to even know what they're too young to even go to school, go to college somewhere. They're too young to vote. You got to be 18 to vote. So, you see a lot of these political polls are being taken by Joe Blow on the street corner with pen and paper, as I said earlier, and just asking you, would you like to take a poll? How do you feel about the president? Do you think he should be impeached? Blah, 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 blah. And they just inundate you with question after question after question. It's crazy, some of these things. So whenever I was asked, and that's true, I have been asked. See, I was the county chair of Volusia County. So whenever I was asked, and just as rightfully as the President of the United States is being asked, what do you think about the latest polls? See, when my first run, they polled me to death. Poll. And, oh, yes, Mr. Davis, he's not going to win. No, we don't have to worry about him. No. And I won by over 67% of the vote, just like Donald Trump. Both of our answers are and were the same. The only important polls are the ones in November, where people walk into a little room and they check the box. That's the poll that counts. If you recall, during the last presidential election, they had Hillary Clinton winning the presidency by a huge margin. And, of course, we all know how that worked out. So, if anybody really concerned about how the polling is working at this point in the campaigns, is anybody really concerned about how this polling is? And is it working? The answer really is no. It's not. It's just people talking. And it's people giving their personal opinion. And just recently I saw the latest poll, and it said more and more people think Donald Trump should be impeached. What I want to see? This is something I would like to see. I want to see their data. I want to see the empirical data about how many people were polled. I want to see what demographic, how old they were. I want to see what region of the country they live in, at least. And I definitely want to know if they're Democrat or Republican, because I do believe, and it was such a quick blurb, and I can't find it anywhere else, but it gave a breakdown of how many people took that opinion poll. And it was over 61% were Democrat. Well, of course, Donald Trump is going to be low in that poll. That's true. That's just the math, folks. But if it was 50-50, I'll guarantee you he would come out ahead. But I digress. Like I said, I just want to know, what is the empirical data?
There you go again.
The actual question should not be, do you want to impeach the president? That's not the real question. The real question is, if you were going to impeach the president of the United States, what crime has he committed? And I love that question, because I've got a couple of people that I know that are on the, shall we say, the left side of the aisle. And we're friends. I can be friends with anybody. I just don't have a problem with it. As long as you agree with me, I'll be your friend. No, that's not true. A lot of people don't agree with me, but that's okay. Because if everybody agreed with me, I don't need you. That's true. There's a rabid Pomeranian. So, I got a lot of friends that are on the other side of the aisle. And they always go, we got to get rid of that president. We're going to impeach him, impeach him, impeach him. To which I then look at them and say, what crime? Well, for a high crime or misdemeanor, which one? He's not a nice person. I don't like his tweets. They have yet to come up with an impeachable offense. I love the latest one is, that phone call. I said, have you read the phone call? No, Schiff read it. No, Schiff didn't read it. I tell him, go to my website, and I give everybody my card. Go to my website and look at where I read the phone call, and I read it out. And you've been there. There's nothing there, and if that's the only information they've got, if that's it, just from that transcription of his conversation, you have nothing. But you know what would really be a crime? If those that were actually writing it down and transcribing that phone call didn't do it appropriately. But you know what? I have faith. I have faith that they did the right thing. Because if they didn't, that would be treason. And that would be not good for them. So there you go, folks. This is actually a little bit short of a podcast, but we're going to kind of cut it off here because, it's been a crazy week. And before everybody jumps up and down, starts having a, shall we say, fit over impeaching a sitting president for no crime whatsoever, I'm glad I was able to sit here and actually give you guys just a little common sense.